Today on This Week in Startups, Alex Ljung is here from Berlin. He is the founder and CEO of SoundCloud. They are the audio version of YouTube. Tyler is with us, chowing down on some delicious eggplant parmesan. In between bites, he may have a couple of insights. Let's do this.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Ah, yes. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It is going to be a great This Week in Startups. We are on a tear. The Bitcoin episode 2 weeks ago that the producers, the 40-plus producers of the Twist audience put together, resulted in a massive amount of interest in this new Bitcoin. I wrote an editorial about it in the launch newsletter. Top of Slashdot, top of Tech Meme, top of Reddit. Boy, you guys are really helping me zone in on the zeitgeist. We're really starting to understand where technology is going, and we're doing it together as producers. It's amazing to have 40 producers on an email list because I email the Twist list. It's a private Google group, and I get all this feedback. Hey, have you considered this question? Have you considered this guest? And we're having a ton of fun, maybe 20 questions a day, 20 emails a day. And it's just a really great group of people. I encourage everybody to support independent media. You know, it's great that we have sponsors, but we also need your support. In fact, we don't need all of your support. The 99 out of 100 of you who are watching this, who are the type of people who don't take out your credit card, who don't spend money on content, I understand. You're busy. Maybe this content's not good enough. But this is a message for the 1% of people who download the show, who want to be part and get on the inside of the show. Come to the production meetings, be on the email list. Write the show notes with us. It's a heck of a lot of fun to produce this show. And all you have to do is go to twistlist.co and then pick what level of membership you want to have.
You're leaving out the best part.
What's that?
Impress the chicks with your title at the end of the show.
Oh, yeah, of course. Impress people with your title at the end of the show. You do get an executive producer title. And hey, so many people want to be in on it. Executive producer, $100 a month, $1,000 a year. Sounds like a lot of money, but hey, you get that title card at the end with your name and your company name. It's an end run around the advertising group. My way of putting pressure on Mo. Jason, you're actually doing an end run around the advertising. What if MailChimp buys the executive producership for $1,000? That should have been something that I got on an insertion order. Anyway, producer $50 a month, associate producer $20 a month, and supporter $10 a month. If you can't afford it, I understand. You don't need to do this. Again, this is not for everybody. I am speaking only to the 1% of people who are true super fans who want to really get into it with us. Come in and pick what you can afford, 10, 20, 50, 100. And I was so touched this weekend, you're on the list.
The guy who said...
The guy who said, listen, I have no interest in producing the show. I am too busy, Jason. But I listen to your show, and I get a lot out of it. Here's a G. He just threw a dime at us. He said, here's $1,000. And I was just like, you know what, dude? I don't need the money, but we do want to get this, like, broadcast picks or TriCast or HD thing going.
Because this show's not in true HD.
This show's in SD. We've been doing it for 2 years in SD. I mean, the rest of the world's HD. We're going HD in the next 30 days. I got good news for people. We're building a new studio. It's going to cost $75 grand. And hey, we need a little bit of support. 40 members, $17,000 in the first month. And if we just do that every month, I think that's like $1 million. Maybe not. But anyway, it's enough to get a new studio and pay for Tyler's eggplant. Yeah. And that's all you need to know. And one of the coolest features we do is once a month we do a producers meeting. This is crazy, but people are actually producing the show. Yeah. And we have a producers meeting on GoToMeeting. So next, the first Friday of the month after this show on the news roundtable at 3 o'clock, we have a production meeting. So June 3rd at 3 p.m. Pacific time, if you want to go, it's going to be on GoToMeeting. Join the Twist list. And hey, about GoToMeeting, they're a sponsor of the show, a partner of the show. They will allow you to hold unlimited meetings for one flat rate. You can collaborate with remote colleagues on your Mac, PC, or iPad, which is a very cool feature. I'm going to tune in on the iPad just for the heck of it. We have a GoToMeeting contest going on right now. Sign up for GoToMeeting and remember to use the promo code START. START. Then send your registration to contest@thisweekin. And you will be entered to win a 30-minute GoToMeeting with Tyler Crowley, the CEO of Squeal, and myself, Jason Calacanis. He used to be my strategy guy. What do you like? What title do you like better? CEO of Squeal or strategy, Calacanis Companies?
I'm a contrarian, so I'm into the, like, associate, you know, I like to downplay everything.
You downplay it.
Yeah.
I know. CEO.
I like to be underestimated because that's where you can.
No, unless we do damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I feel. I got Arrington to reply to my tweet today.
No.
I was like, in 1 year I want to replace TechCrunch with Launch, blah 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 blah, and he replied, retweet Jason. In 1 year I want to replace Demand Media as the top content spam farm. So he basically edited and pretended I said that. It's well played, Mike Arrington. Well played, Mr. Arrington. But I'm coming for you. Anyway, the meeting will be released to the Twist audience and added as a promo for your company, so that's pretty cool. And I just want to say thank you, GoToMeeting. I use the product every day. And as you know, if you go to This Week in Startups, we're building out the site because This Weekend's a whole network. They're really busy. They got 25 shows. So I got Crude and the team to do thisweekinstartups.com. We have that domain, and we're starting to build it out. It's a little clunky in terms of design and everything like that, but it's got great content, and it's all done on the Squarespace platform, which is great. But we have a Twist-approved list here. And on this list is the advertisers that are allowed to advertise on the show. That sounds pretentious, but, well, it is. But it's the truth. We can pick who we want the advertisers to be, and I am not going to read an ad unless I love the product. And that's why I can tell you unequivocally, go use GoToMeeting. I use it every week. I do angel investing meetings on it. I do production meetings on it. When I'm at the house in Maui, I use it to meet with my team. When I'm at the house in Aspen, I use it to meet with the team. When I'm at my house... These are my imaginary houses. My imaginary house in Saint-Remy in Paris, in the south of France. My apartment in Paris. I use it from all my imaginary houses.
It's the new Zynga game, right?
It's my new Zynga game. It's called Calacanisville. There's 8 people playing right now. Taurus, Fondue, Tyler, Lon, me. Anyway, congratulations to GoToMeeting for making a kick-ass product. Today on the program, I have the founder of SoundCloud, who I met you at the DLG conference, I guess. We were at the Excel dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a pretty cool dinner. Excel's like a private
pretty
dinner.
Awesome. Yeah.
For like what was that? Like 75 people at that dinner?
Yeah, 70, 80 people,
pretty
something
baller,
like
you
that.
have to admit.
Yeah.
The Excel an investor?
It was. No, they're not.
No, not yet. Oh, you see, you paused. So I have a feeling they're looking at it.
No, I know them very well, but they're not an investor.
You want to break some news? B round, perhaps?
Nope. Well, we did a B round. B round is done.
That was with Fred Wilson and Union Square.
Yeah, Fred from Union Square and Mike Volpe from Index Ventures.
Oh, well, that's great. You got Index Ventures. So you got somebody in the UK, you got somebody in New York,
yep.
and now you just need to get somebody in the Valley. Then you'd have all 3 major cities.
Well, Mike and Danny Reimer from Index are moving over to San Francisco soon to set up Index West Coast. So
isn't that interesting that Danny's like, oh, we're going to be the biggest in Europe, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'm coming home.
Well, I think they can do a lot of fun stuff there. So it will be great for us. We have a UK VC as well, so then we'll have UK, New York, and SF covered.
Okay, so we met and we started talking about your product, and I thought this is fascinating. But I think one of the first things you said to me was, my business is based in Berlin and always will be. We're never going to move to the Valley. And listen, kid, if you get big enough, you're going to come to the U.S. just like everybody else does.
Right.
Tell me, what is your philosophy on where to run the company?
I love Berlin. Like Berlin, I'm from Stockholm originally, and we moved to Berlin in a very spontaneous move. And it's a killer city. You have like a crazy art scene and a really crazy technology scene. And that's something that fits like SoundCloud really well. So we love it there. We have a small office in London as well, and now a small office in San Francisco, and 2 guys here in LA as well. So we're trying to play the global card. Like we're using the best from all these different cities, and it works really well. I mean, we have all product, all development, all engineering in Berlin, and having a lot of fun there. And then we have some functions in San Francisco.
What is the origin of SoundCloud? When did you come up with the idea, and what was the purpose of it?
Yeah.
And what does it do?
So, so if we go back, like where it started was my co-founder Eric and I. We've always been into sort of the music side of things and to the technology side of things, and it started out with something almost like trivial. Like we wanted a service that would allow us to send a track we were working on privately to another person to have them give some feedback on it. So I'm working on a new song, I want to send it to Eric, I want to get some feedback. So we wanted to build something that did that in a really simple way. And when we started building that, we realized that what we wanted to do was to visualize the sound so that you would have the waveform, you could put comments inside of it. We wanted to put it online so you wouldn't have to like send it again and again. And then we realized, when you have that track online, you might not just want to share it with one person. Maybe you want to share it with a bunch of other people. Maybe you want to share it to other networks across the web and share it even to other applications as well. And we were always like hugely inspired by what Flickr had done for us as photographers, and realized, you know, that space just didn't exist for the creators of sound and music. So we expanded it a little bit, and what we really wanted to do was to focus on the creator side of music and sound and just build a killer sharing platform for that.
So here I am. I just did a random search on Google. I did site search, site SoundCloud, and I just picked something at random. And here's Keto from London, Britain. Pull up my screen here, guys. And walk us through. Like, I mean, it does look a little Flickr-esque. Like, hey, here's my profile page, and here's a bunch of tracks, some sets. I don't know what a set is. Comments, I know what those are. Favorites, and a Dropbox.
Yeah.
And then I see down here all these like little comments. I saw that this is sort of like, what was that company that made the video player that let you put the comments into it early on? It wasn't Vimeo, it was the other one out of Philly. Vidler.
Yeah.
So you have this like sort of Vidler-like functionality, or maybe you had it before them, who knows, where people can, I guess, comment on like, hey, this is a fantastic beat.
Yeah, so I love this beat, I love this piano, I love this vocal part.
Now, and so how many clips have been uploaded, and who's using it? Like, is this person the author of these, or is this people doing file sharing?
No, it's completely focused on the creators of these things. We have users, you know, all the range from, you know, 50 Cent, Beastie Boys, all of the 4 major labels, some really, really big artists, down to, you know, people that are just making stuff for fun at home, or people that are just creating things on their iPad, just playing around. Now we also have stuff like, you know, Penguin Books, book companies, a lot of podcasts, and all kinds of different, so any kind of creator of sound, basically, no matter if you're a company or an individual, can use it. And the timed comments is just, it's a way for people to be able to interact with the sound in a neat way. It really encourages people to go in and put comments and leave their feedback on it. Yeah.
And speaking of the Beastie Boys, who I grew up with in Brooklyn.
All right.
I didn't really know them, but people, like, everybody knew them in Brooklyn, basically. Here's, they put their latest tracks up on there, I guess?
Yeah, they launched their new album through it, partly through the site and embeds on their own site. They also used an app that's built on our API for doing album launches, where you get sort of the whole album.
I did see that on their site. So they basically launched the entire album there.
Yeah.
Streaming.
Yeah.
And encouraging people to buy it. So in a way, this is very API driven. I put up the MP3 or whatever audio file format it
Any
is.
format, yeah.
You put a beautiful looking display here. People can comment on it, and wow, this thing's got almost 1 million views, 218 comments, and 1,000 favorites. So in a way, it's sort of becoming like YouTube in terms of community uplift.
Yeah.
So how did the Beastie Boys get involved in this? How do you recruit? Because, you know, everybody who launches a new product says, oh, if I just get the celebrities to use this, then it's going to break out. How did you get the Beastie Boys on the platform?
I think it goes back to us building this for the creator community. And it started getting some traction within the music industry, and it's sort of grown from within the industry. So it's just something which is like really common there now, and they know that it's a dead simple, beautiful product to use. And, you know, whenever they need to do anything with their sound online, like SoundCloud is the thing that sort of comes to mind, and they can do this themselves. They don't need, like, you know, a whole team to set this up for them. It's as simple as
so you made it super easy for somebody in the marketing department or an engineer,
or even the artists themselves,
or the artists themselves who just say, hey, I got this track here on my laptop, I'm going to put it up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we see with some artists now. They're not just publishing, you know, the finished big album. They're launching like rough sketches of things, and oh, this is an idea. And we have this, you know, record functionality on the mobile app, so whenever they have an idea, they can just record that on the fly.
Can I download these tracks?
It depends on if the artist wants you to be able to do that or not. So
so as a flag, make it downloadable or not?
Yeah, exactly. And there's also apps that, you know, allow you to do campaigns so that people will send a tweet about it, then they'll get a download and those kind of things.
So you make that app, or somebody made it on top of yours?
So we have one app like that. We just launched SoundCloud Labs 2 weeks ago, where we're putting like a lot of these different apps that we've built on like weekends and stuff. And there's one app there called Social Unlock that allows you to import a track, create a page for it, where
it's like we had PunchTab on the program before, and everybody's doing this sort of blocking of content in exchange for you doing some social behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
Super annoying.
In some ways, but also like it's cool. I think one of the first times we came across it in a really significant way was when Moby released a new album, and he built an app on top of SoundCloud for Facebook, where, you know, if you would share it to like 5 friends, you would get a few more streams. If you'd share it to a few more friends, you'd get a couple of downloads. And that was actually
Did it go viral? Or did people just be like, "Oh my God, this is so annoying. I'm not going to jump through hoops"?
Yeah, no, that one went super. That one went really well. And I think it was a while ago, but I think that the tracks were also available for free download on his site. They were also available for sale in iTunes, and they were like one of the top sold songs in iTunes at the same time when they were available for these other platforms as well.
And how do you make money with this?
So we have a really simple model. It's a simple freemium model where we have free accounts and paid for accounts. Like on Flickr, you want extra features, extra functionality, you upgrade and you get a bit more.
And what, 1% of people flip over, 2%? What do you need in your model to make it work? We have Evernote on, and
right, yeah.
CEO Phil of Evernote said the premium version is no different than the free version, essentially. People just do it because they want to support it, just like the Twist List producers.
Yeah, I mean, people upgrade for various different reasons. Some do it just to support. Like, we have amazing engagement in the community. It's like 4.5 million different creators of audio that are helping each other out. So some people do it just to be part. Some people do it for specific features like additional stats or more widget formats. The conversion is going well. Like, I mean, we've been growing our revenues really steadily ever since we launched, and that certainly helped when we were going to raise some more money last year. That we already had that going.
So 500 euros a year for this Pro Plus, and that's unlimited storage and everything. That's for like a label.
Yeah, that's like the high-end company account.
Interesting. And advertising and building an ad network into this? I mean, YouTube's got an ad network.
Right.
Is that on the horizon? Do people want that? Do you get requests from the artist for it?
Well, we get a lot. So we don't have any plans for any additional any ads or any other revenue models right now. But what we do get a lot of requests for is people wanting to be able to sell their tracks. And we don't allow people to sell their tracks. They can sell them through another source and embed the Buy Me link. But what's really cool, like, we had a music hack day in San Francisco last weekend, and there was some of the guys from Minnow just hacked that together in a weekend. So they launched a new site today called SoundRain that allows you to just hook up your SoundCloud account with that, and then you can actually start selling the tracks through that.
Okay, SoundCloud plus RSS equals iTunes goodness. I can subscribe to Beastie Boys as a keyword, put it in my iTunes, and download all those tracks.
If they allow you to download it.
If they allow us to do it.
What you can also
and you're
do,
very clear about saying that.
Right.
Because there's been other, what was the other service that Fred Wilson used to blog about all the time that was like a
mixtape thing?
It was like the mixtape thing. No, it wasn't Muxtape, but it was similar to that, where you could download, you do a search and you make an RSS feed and you would just download all the MP3s that it could find on the internet across all the things. So obviously you're making a point of saying if the artist allows it, because of the privacy concern, because the RIA is crazy and will sue you into oblivion.
Right. Well,
how have you avoided that so far?
Well, I mean, so if we go back to like why we built this, we built it for the artists and for the creators. So we're still really focused on that. If we do anything that's not in the artist's interests, that's not going to be very good for us, since those are our main users. So in the same way that, you upload a photo to Flickr, you decide what people can do with it. I think it's, it's really simple. It's the same thing for somebody that creates sound as well. So if you're 50 Cent and you put up a track, you want people to download it or remix it or whatever, you can put those settings there. If you don't want that to happen, you don't do that. So if you're Britney Spears...
Right, but if I'm a kid who just got the Britney Spears album, and I decide I'm going to upload it and make it shareable, and I put it on the Britney Spears tab, and I tag it Britney Spears. Now everybody's got that tag, automatically downloads it, and gets all those songs for free. And there are pirated songs on the system.
Well,
so it won't. How do you police it?
That won't really work. I mean, we work together with all the 4 major record labels. We have thousands of users from all 4 majors, and together with them, we've built a content recognition system and a back-end management tool where they can control different. Where they can control song seeds, what happens with them, block them, take stuff down, make sure that you can't even upload a specific track and things like that.
So you have been proactive. You don't even say, hey, we're going to go DMCA, Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
No.
You're not saying, hey, file a DMCA if you don't like it. You're saying you're the Beastie Boys label. Put the titles you don't want uploaded, or put in your actual MP3s, and we'll do sound verification and compare it.
It works a lot better if you have the actual track, because then you can match it on the acoustic fingerprint of it.
So if I do a remix of that, and it's a 60% hit, what do you do?
It depends. Like, I mean, if there's enough of it there to make a match, then we can do the same thing. If it's not enough there to make a match, then it can be reported manually.
And is it up to the content owner to say, I'll let this percentage of the song be used in other remixes?
No.
Or is it just if it's identifiable, it's a binary thing?
Yeah, it's a binary thing if it is identifiable or not. But
Right.
there, I mean,
Do they get to make it on like a? Do they get to say, I want to block everybody who uploads, the License to Ill album, or Brass? I want to block everybody who uploads Brass Monkey, or do they say, I just want to know everybody who uploads Brass Monkey so I can check out the usage?
It's a couple
them?
of different requests. So I mean, we've built this together with them because this has been something that we wanted to make sure that it gets built right and that it works in the way that they want. So it's still being developed now. We're figuring out all the different options that are needed. But at the moment, it's fairly basic. It's kind of like an on-off mechanism right now. But it's something that we're building out with them, and it's been really good, like working with them on this.
Yeah. So you've had no problems with the music industry?
Well, I mean, I think it takes. It's kind of a different model for us, right? And we have to explain to people that this is something that's built in the interest of artists, and we're building tools for you to use. It's been in some ways quite easy for us because they've already been using it from the start since we started within the music industry. When we've gotten to a few more higher level conversations, they already have thousands of people in the organization singing the praise of the product and using it for their different campaigns. So it's actually been really great working with them.
Yeah, and starting from the beginning working with them helps you avoid looking like the enemy.
Right, yeah.
Which is what the other music companies have made a mistake of. I mean,
right.
They just come in and be like, oh, I can technologically do something,
yeah.
Therefore you can show up at our doorstep and then we'll talk to you.
Right.
As opposed to saying, hey, I built a tool for you.
Yeah.
Is there anything we can customize here to make your life better?
Yeah.
So they look at you as an enabler.
Well, it's a really,
for them, not an enabler for privacy.
Yeah, it's a really different model, right? I mean, there's been companies out there that are like, okay, we're going to be massive consumption platforms. Let's not care about how we get content to attract the people for that.
Right.
Whereas, like, our ambition was completely different. It was like, how do we build something for the creator side of things?
Right.
Like, not necessarily just for we didn't really have the majors in mind when we built it, but they just started using it a lot, and we were like, okay, sure. Like, if you want to use it, great.
So your intent is clear to them in a way.
Yeah.
So therefore, if they think your intent is to make tools,
right.
They look at you as white knights, as opposed to they look at a Napster or somebody else. What was the one that was like the Twitter-like one? Was that Ping or .fm or something? Something .fm.
It's been a couple of.
There's a bunch of them
yeah.
where you could just like post an MP3 and then tweet it, and you make your own like DJing kind of thing, and they just looked like they were capitalizing off of that content,
right?
Not
yeah.
working with them.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question from executive producer Jeff Clapp. He says, how does being in the EU, the European Union, affect product design? Seems like a weird question, but issues like security are different.
Right.
Privacy laws are different. Is there an extra burden thinking globally as a startup, whereas most U.S. Startups are focused on the domestic market only?
Yeah. I don't know, to be honest, like, we don't really think about it that much. Like, when we design product for great product. It's like, I mean, I don't care if like you're in Germany or in France or in the US, like a good product is a good product. But
what about those privacy issues and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Do you even have to think about those? Do you have to think like, oh my God, how much are we recording about our users? And
well, I mean, it's kind of this. You have to just check what the rules are in the different territories. I mean, it's usually fairly similar. Like you register with a data protection agency or something like that. But it's really not that complicated at all. And I think it's been quite cool. Thinking about this globally from the start, we were quite big in Europe even before we went to the US, and then it's in some ways it's been quite simple now to just go to the US, and it's getting massive amounts of traction here, and I think it's the going the other way from the US into Europe is a little bit harder probably. So
because you might be a little more aggressive in your product and stuff.
Yeah,
in the U.S. and the EU might be a little bit more finer.
We've been, the product has been in English from the beginning, but we've already dealt with a lot of different kind of cultures and different nationalities on the platform. So adding the U.S. to that isn't that much of a complexity. Whereas if you've been thinking only U.S. and then all of a sudden you're going into like Germany, France, the UK, Sweden, maybe there will be things that come up that you didn't really plan beforehand.
Somehow you got Fred Wilson to invest. I believe for the first time in Europe.
No, not the first time in Europe.
Second? I don't know. How many, what else has he invested in?
Done a few things before, but I mean, he's more comfortable.
In the Union Square portfolio?
Yeah.
What else is in the Union Square portfolio over there?
Oh, God. What is in there?
There's somebody who's a producer, look in there.
Yeah.
In there on their
Samantha.
page. Yeah, I don't know that one.
So they were there.
So how do you wind up getting him invested? Did you fly to New York and just say, hey, give me a meeting? Or did you comment on his blog posts like a maniac?
Right. Well, we actually...
I mean, there are some weird people commenting on his blog posts. Kid Mercury and all these guys. Like, I know these guys because they used to hang out on my blog when I used to blog. And since I stopped blogging, they don't hang out there. But these got this like really weird group of people mixed with really well-known people.
Awesome people there as well. Like that whole
really
community around it is really cool. But
so how do you meet him? How do you get the money?
We've known each other for probably about 2 or 3 years now. I mean, I've always had massive amounts of respect for him. I tried to get him involved in the A round. We couldn't quite make it happen then.
Why not?
And
he turned you down? The valuation was too high?
Well, it wasn't like, I think we couldn't sort of get through the conversation sort of fast enough, and other things were moving ahead.
So he was moving too slow.
It wasn't like, you know, a no, but it was kind of like it wasn't really exciting enough for him at the time.
Right. But you don't give up.
No, of course not.
Right. So what? How do you, so
a no is a reason to ask again.
Exactly. So he doesn't give you a hard no.
Yeah.
He's interested, but not interested enough to pull the trigger.
Like, he loves the company, he loves the product.
What was his objection?
He couldn't quite see exactly where it was going to go. And I think, like, to be fair to him and to other VCs then, like, we hadn't really, like, gotten to the point where we could formulate exactly what this was going to be. We were still very focused on, like, tools for musicians rather than, you know what, we're actually building the future sound sharing platform for the entire web.
So you were saying, hey, we make tools for engineers and for artists.
Yeah.
You weren't saying, we make, you know, the audio equivalent of YouTube.
Right, exactly.
And things changed for you just by framing that one sentence elevator pitch differently.
Oh yeah, but it was also like, it was, I mean, we discovered some things along the way that made it clear for us that was a possibility as well. But it's also like, you know, in the framing, you know, in the A round, I think, you know, I had a deck with like 40 slides or something. In the B round, I had 6 slides, and in a couple of weeks, we had 8 term sheets, and then we were done. So it was
less is more.
Less is way more.
And you're selling the promise, not all these little pieces of minutia.
I think, you know, to get somebody excited, they have to feel the story, and you get that across with less slides, much better than pumping data and pumping information out.
All right, I want you to tell us how you changed Fred Wilson's mind from the sort of hard no, or the soft no, maybe is a better way to describe it, to the hard yes.
Right.
Right after I tell you about an amazing piece of software called Squarespace. Oh my God, I love Squarespace, and I was in New York 2 weeks ago, and I was with Anthony, and actually one of his VCs from Excel was there, and I had seen him the night before for dinner. Really love this company, and he said, "Oh, come by. I'm going to be showing my friend from Excel the new version. Come by." And I sat with the guy from Excel, and we looked at it, and I said, "My God, this new version is so gorgeous. When can I get it? Because I have 3 new websites going up on Squarespace. I want to use the new version." He said, "No, you got to use the old version. New version is coming, but there'll be conversion tools and all that kind of stuff, so don't worry. You can start using Squarespace now. But let me tell you, you will be delighted by this new version. It is so well put together. It's a magical piece of software, and 24-hour support for creating beautiful, professional-looking websites for your blog, photo gallery, large or small business." At this point, I just say, like, "Hey, Crew, make me a website for this. Put up twistlist.co. Boom, make me a website for this." It's up in the same day, like hours, and it looks pretty good. I mean, Crew's not a designer. God forbid I had a designer here helping me. It would look gorgeous. Full-featured iPad app and recently updated iPhone app. And actually, they have templates you could use. So the templates are really good, and in the new version, there's even better templates. If you want to give Squarespace a try, go to squarespace.com/twist, and you'll get a 14-day free trial with no obligation. If you're ready to create your own beautiful website, just go to Squarespace. And if you'd like to get a twist bag, show the twist bag, full of swag, a twist bag, and we'll fill it with swag, and we've done this 100 times, and we're going to do it 100 more times. We will send you one of these bags if you send us any receipt from Squarespace. So if you spend $5 or $10 or $20 from Squarespace, we're going to send you that $20 bag. I think those bags supposed to maybe like $25 when we send them, filled with a bunch of other cool stuff. And all you have to do is email your Squarespace receipt to contest@thisweekin.com. contest@thisweekin.com. So Fred Wilson doesn't love you. He thinks the vision is narrow. He doesn't see how it's going to get that big, and he's not interested, frankly.
Right.
But then you say, I'm taking this 40-slide deck. I get a bunch of what we call proof points, lessons learned between the A round and this proposed B round. And you email him and say, what? I'm going to do a B round. Can I show you what we've learned? Or are you educating him every couple of weeks along the way?
Well, we kept in contact, like, and because I mean he was really excited about the product, so we just kept in contact, and then when we started putting the B round together, said, hey Fred, we should talk about it. I didn't think that it was actually gonna work out because it wasn't quite their profile, but we met up real quick, and yeah, that was it.
And you had 8 term sheets, you said before?
Did I say that?
8.
Yeah, we had quite a few of them.
When was this exactly?
We closed in October last year.
Wow, so the market's hot. You decided you're going to take down another, what is it, $3 or $4 million? Was it ever announced?
It's undisclosed.
Oh, undisclosed. So, anyway, call it $2, $3, $4 million is probably typical, but it could be more. Well, a B round could be a lot more. Oh, it's a B round, not an A. Maybe it's $8 million. How many employees do you have now?
We're about 50 people.
Oh, so it was more like $8 to $10 million then. So you get 8 different term sheets, and now you're sitting there with all this amazing interest. How does one, as an entrepreneur faced with this bounty of interest, ever come to a decision of who to pick?
It's tricky. Like, it's really hard. We had some really, we had a bunch of really awesome people there, and you get to a point where, like, wow, I want to work with a lot of these different people, and they're all great. But
it's like when you're a really hot guy and you're in Berlin and you've got like 10 girls who want to date you, right?
I have no idea.
You have no idea what I'm talking about, please. Okay, anyway, keep going.
So yeah, no, but I think like there, in that particular case, it really helped that we'd had a relationship with Fred for some time. Both like Eric and I felt very comfortable with working with him. So, and there were a couple of other people there that we'd known for some time. So, you immediately narrow it down. If the terms are somewhere in the same ballpark, you immediately narrow it down to the people that you know really well, the people that you feel excited about working with, and then you have a couple of them left, and then you look at the final deal terms, and we actually sat down and said, who are we mostly excited about working with? Like, which of these?
So you narrow down to 2 or 3, and then you say, hey guys, this is the best terms these are the best terms we got out of the 8. Can you match it?
Right.
You push them up a little bit, don't you?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. As soon as you get one right, then you can
take me through that. Hey, it's Fred, and then what do you say, to Fred? Let's do a little role play here. I say, Fred, Fred says, oh, great, you got our term sheet.
Right.
Are we going to do this? Because we really, at Union Square, are really excited.
Yeah.
What do you say? Because now you're about to ask. You haven't asked, don't you?
Right.
Let me hear it. Okay. What are you thinking?
Well, in this particular case,
you're breaking the role play. Alex, it's Fred. It's Fred Wilson.
All right. So Fred, we really want to do this. We really want to work with you.
Great. Sign the term sheet.
I can't do that. There's a little bit of a difference in the valuation here. Even though we really want to work with you, we can't really do this at this particular price. It just doesn't make sense for the other people in the company to do that. So here's where we're at. Like, you need to get to this point, and then you're going to make the decision easy for us.
Listen, Alex, I created GeoCities. I put the money into that. Zynga and Twitter.
Awesome.
I did their A rounds.
Very cool, Fred.
I sent you a term sheet. You sign it and you send it back, or else I will recreate this startup with another kid. I can get some kid out of MIT to recreate the startup in 10 minutes. You sign that goddamn term sheet.
Is it Fred? This is Jason, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'll put Fred on. And what does he say? What does he say when you? Because that was pretty elegant what you said. You're like, hey, listen.
Well,
you are going to make this decision easy for us if you can close this little gap here.
Yeah.
And what does he say? Does he say on the spot, okay, or does he say, let me talk to my partners and come back to you with a counter?
Well, I mean, typically there's, with any fund, there's a couple of different partners involved, and they all have to be aligned. So typically, they will go back, they'll discuss it, and then they'll send you an email.
Did they give you everything you want?
Send you an email saying, let's set up a call. During that period, I've never had so many emails in my life that just say, can we set up a call?
They never want to put anything in the email, huh? They can never just say yes in email.
Yeah.
Just say goddamn yes. See, that's what I love about Mark Cuban. I email him like, hey, I'm doing this project. Do you want to put money? He's like, no, not my speed. He said it to me before. I said, "Oh, hey, I'm doing this project. You want to put me in?" He's like, "Yes." Talk to blank, and then I talked to blank, and blank's like, "Yeah, here's boom, check." Why can't they be like Mark Cuban?
Well, I think it's one of those things where you really want to hear the person's voice. You want to hear exactly how they're reacting and stuff like that. I kind of appreciate it as well. Like,
really,
I use the phone much more these days than.
But this is your first startup company, isn't it?
It's the first one that's kind of we have a bunch of employees.
A proper company.
Yeah,
with
it's
a
the
venture
first.
capital.
It's the first proper one. I've done a studio and a
How
media
did you
company
know
before.
to handle this delicate negotiation? Did your A-round VCs train you? Did you talk to other entrepreneurs? How did you get that information? Or did it just come natural to you?
Well, you surround yourself with people that have good advice, and you call them a lot, and you ask how you.
So you had advisors. You had advisors.
Oh yeah, we had with lots of friends, who've done similar things before. Get a bunch of advice from them and try and synthesize that, see which stuff you feel makes sense and what doesn't.
Let's talk about the product a little more. You have the iPhone app there?
Yeah, sure.
Show me how this works. We have an iPhone camera here, and so we'll be able to look over your shoulder. Let's see if the over-the-shoulder cam works.
Yep. So
okay, so there it is. Now just take a look in the old courtesy monitor there, and you can angle it properly for the old audience. Perfect.
There we go.
Okay, so I open this, and this is just SoundCloud. If I go to the iTunes store and download SoundCloud, I get this?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I sign up through the app, or do I have to go to the web?
You can do it through that.
So I just click, boom, I'm on.
Yeah, it's free
now, but I
as
do
well.
have to sign up.
Yes.
What about this? What about this quick publishing without signing up? You ever thought about that?
We have some ideas on that on the site. So, for instance, if you want to share a track, you can actually upload it before you've signed up, and then in the actual upload process, you're signing up as well.
Okay, cool.
So with this one, I'm logged into your account actually.
Oh, good.
You're a media pro. You're
I am.
publishing video and text, so we're going to get you to start publishing audio here as well.
I know. That's here. This is the fix is in. Okay, so now you hit record.
So I have record here. I just hit record, and what do you want to say, Jason?
Oh, hi. SoundCloud is the greatest, most elegant device I've ever heard, and I appreciate them sponsoring 10 weeks of This Week in Startups. Go ahead.
So get executive producer title?
Absolutely, get the executive producer title. Okay, so
All
you
right,
did
cool.
that. Now here on my desktop, I have my account open. So if I refresh on my account here...
Wait, it's still on the phone, so I have
it's still
it
on the
here.
phone, you haven't uploaded
I can play it. It's just like I've taken the picture. I've just grabbed the sound, right?
Why didn't... Wait,
So,
they do have this
save.
sort of on the iPhone, right? There's that little sound recorder.
There's
It's
a sound
kinda
recorder
crummy.
thing. Yeah, it's kind of crummy. It works. I mean, you could use something like that.
What's the
This is
fidelity on the microphone on these things? 'Cause
It's
you know
killer.
what?
Like on the iPhone 4, it's absolutely killer. Like
Didn't
I'm
it
using
suck
an
on the
Android
old?
as well.
They stripped it down on the iPods back in the day because they didn't want people going to concerts with iPods recording. Remember, you could get that little microphone you plugged into the top, and they actually stripped it down to like 8-bit.
There's cool ones you can plug in that work really well, but I mean the built-in one on this one is just awesome.
It's really good.
Really cool.
Okay, so you saved it.
So with this, if you can see here, this is your account. Then this is already hooked up to your Twitter. We have an integration with Foursquare as well, so you can check in with the sound.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm going to add a photo to this as well, just for the fun of it.
Interesting.
So there we go. Bloop.
There's a photo of me. Beautiful. And then...
And this is now, I'm just going to publish that. And that's uploading to your account. It's going to auto-tweet it as well. It will show up here on your account. If you want it hooked up to Facebook, that works as well.
There it goes. Look, look at this. I pull it up on my site. I'm getting transcoding going on as we speak. That was incredibly fast. Are you built on the cloud? Is this an EC2 app?
We
have your own infrastructure.
It's grown a bit. So our architecture is a little bit more complex than before. But we
look at that. Boom. I didn't even have to refresh the page. You just encoded it and put it up.
There we go.
Hey, where's the photo? Oh, there you go. I'm playing it now. The photo doesn't show on this interface.
Yeah, well, it should show up in the corner there.
Maybe we'll show up in a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe we got to super refresh. Okay, so now one thing I don't. Oh, there it is. There it is. Boom. And here's my little photo.
And this is kind of cool. Like
why can't I do this with Facebook and Path? Like they let you post a photo, let you post a video. Why did nobody ever think on those services of posting audio?
It's a really good question. I mean, now we have the tools for them to be able to do that super simple, right? So like we have a bunch of wrappers with APIs and components for this that you can just integrate into any app. So a lot of other apps we can like make music or do recordings. They just build SoundCloud right into it. So now I'm recording with SoundCloud, but I could be recording with another app and then just share from there. So it's something you could basically build into any app that captures audio, right? So, and it's cool. Like, I mean, with this, like you see, like people start using it in all these crazy ways. Like, This is so simple to do. I mean, it's even simpler than tweeting. Like, that's 140 characters. This is one single button. So while you're in the car...
So I can be driving and just leave a little message for people.
Exactly.
And Fred did that a couple of times. That's where Fred Wilson participated in that, just saying his thoughts and stuff like that.
Yep.
And there was a little, like, mini podcasting
Right.
concept, I remember, that people were doing this. Robert Scoble and I forgot the name of the company, but back in 1990, no, maybe in 2005, 2006, this idea of audio blogging.
Yeah. Yep.
Became like a big concept and fizzled out. Is that because people don't like the sound of their own voices, or people weren't ready for it?
I think it's just like it hasn't been done right yet. Like, I mean, we're starting to see people using it for all kinds of stuff now. We have, you know, people from American Idol and X Factor starting to play around with voice postings, doing like asynchronous Q&A through an app we built, and I think it's something where, you know, people are just starting to get into it now. We kind of see the world of, we have a lot of things happening around music. We have all these different like audio publishers, like, you know, ebooks or radio news corporations using it, and then we have these like social sound stuff as well. Things like this, people just posting stuff.
Right.
And like,
so you're trying to extend the platform
happening
out from people like the Beastie Boys or DJs putting stuff to common stuff or just anything the world can think of. So here is. Somebody made takesquestions.com. I guess your lab made that?
Yeah, we made that on at a weekend and then put it up on Labs.
So you're just making little apps that tap into the SoundCloud.
Yeah, like we're interested in how people use sound. Right. The thing is, like, we're so literate that we know how to read and write photos, we know how to read and write text, we know how to read and write video, but we're just at the point where we're starting to learn this with sound.
Right.
So we're doing everything we can to like experiment with it.
People know how to say things, but they don't actually know how to edit sound.
Yeah, well,
they know how to type words, but they know how to edit words.
Yeah.
But video, they barely know how to edit video. They barely know how to upload it. So there's a whole new literacy that hasn't occurred. The editing of audio and video.
Yeah.
I don't think that our generation, people over 30, will ever get that, because you have to learn it when you're a kid, right?
Oh well, I think you can get it. I mean, you won't be the best editor in the world, but enough to just be able to tell a story. Like, you know, the way I use Instagram, it's like I'm actually using it not so much to take a photo and save it. I'm using it to share a story of something that's happening in my life, and I think being able to do that with sound is not that hard. You push a button, you say something, you record your baby's first words, or like you record a joke or something, and you share that. Oh God, no.
Servus, lolcat. Of course I love lolcats. And I love cats so much. I have the magical powers to transform myself into a cat.
Wow, that's disturbing. So, how did you get? I mean, I understand you got the Beastie
So that's
Boys.
That's Lolcat asking fake Arnold a question,
right? I mean, it's impressive that you got Beastie Boys, but it's more impressive you got Arnold to participate in the platform. How does a guy like this, who's running for president, have the time to do this? How did you get him involved in the project?
I have no idea, actually. We launched Takes Questions as Labs, and, you know, Arne shows up, and he's pretty active. He's got some.
All right, let's look at some other stuff here. Here's the app gallery. So you have, if you go to soundcloud.com/apps, you guys you have your own app store, and people are building apps that use the cloud.
Yeah, exactly.
So these apps don't necessarily have to be on any specific platform. They just have to tap the cloud. So it could be an iPad, Android, Flash, Facebook. It could be any app that taps the cloud. And I see Gobbler here, which was a launch company. So how is Gobbler using SoundCloud?
So basically, it's built in so that you can edit large amounts of tracks in Gobbler through a good UI for that, and then that just syncs with your SoundCloud account. So you can actually you can use Gobbler as an editor for all of your SoundCloud accounts. You have a couple of hundred tracks there. You can change titles and stuff like that.
Now, I see Dropbox as like the fifth tab over. Are you referencing Dropbox, the product? Or are you using that as a term like, here's a Dropbox where you can leave me audio?
Yeah, it's
lowercase Dropbox or uppercase?
It's a SoundCloud feature for people to be able to send audio to another person. It doesn't have anything with Dropbox, the company, to do. So the naming has been there since very early on.
You need to use a lowercase e.
But
I was confused.
Yeah.
The Dropbox guys, did it send you a letter yet? They're cool guys.
No, I mean, Drew is great. Like, it's not a, but I think
you mean Dropbox in the lowercase. That's fine.
Yeah,
I get it. And so if you have a question, you can put it right in the chat room there. Tyler, what are your thoughts on all this? I mean, you're a musician.
I like, it's almost a counterintuitive approach to how, you know, entrepreneurs will go about, and it's not, I mean, I'm kind of doing a similar thing with Squeals. Like, entrepreneurs think, let's build it for the end-to-end user, and they envision the end-to-end user, and it's much easier to deal with them because God knows it's a pain in the ass to deal with businesses and everything online. And that's the Napster approach initially, and it's the kind of Yelp approach with, you know, people getting reviews, and UGC, right? The web, that's just the way the web works.
That's the bottom-up approach.
Yes. But now you're starting to see more and more entrepreneurs get into or open to, and investors willing to back people taking the top-down approach.
Which is meeting the constituents in the space and enabling them, and then working backwards to consumers?
Kind of, yeah. But like really building them a tool. Like he's saying, he's like, you know, we made it very clear, like we're building it for you, and our intentions are good, as you were saying, and we know there's money involved if we do this right, because, you know, and I'm taking a similar sort of approach with mine, but it wasn't, for the longest time, this isn't how entrepreneurs approach doing their startups, was it? It was like, they're going for the easier part of the chicken and egg.
I mean, I think it's also like you have entrepreneurs who were, let's just say, not deft at communication skills and partnership skills and business development skills. And now I think in order to be an entrepreneur in this space, it's not enough to just put something out on the internet. You actually have to talk to the people who might use it and actually have a constituency and develop a constituency. I mean, we're doing this now at Mahalo with teachers, and you know, getting teachers to make videos, and then students, and trying to figure out, you know, how these constituents can use the tools. So Zemanta and AME, A-M-E-E, are USV, Union Square Ventures companies based in the UK. And KIK, K-I-K, is a USV company in Canada. Associate producers, producer JDS, what would you advise other startups in Berlin or the EU to do to make it big in the US? What's your best practice?
Okay, so I think, I mean, we had something which we knew worked well for users in Europe, and we actually didn't really push into the US until we started seeing traction here already. Like we were kind of, you know, building it from Berlin. It was starting to get traction in all different parts of the world, and then at some point we saw like, okay, now it's really starting to accelerate in the US. That's a good kind of point for us to then go in and sort of jump on that and make it grow even faster. I actually think it's not that complicated trying to get something to work in the US as well. You have to be prepared to travel quite a bit, or at least move parts of your team over. You know, there's a ton of things you need to do in terms of making sure that those offices communicate right, making sure that the team works. For us, across like 9 different time zones, or across 9 hours time difference. But you know, a great thing if you're in San Francisco, if you're doing anything where you need to do like BD or partnerships with other tech companies, like people there are so they're so open that it's super easy to get a ton of meetings. It's super easy to get in and meet with people. And if you're doing something that makes sense to them, it seems like it's fairly straightforward to get things done as well. I think we kind of had a little bit of an advantage in that we were already big in the US without people knowing about us that much, and it kind of started with the VC round. We just came in and said, okay, hey guys, boom, here's our stats, and people were like, whoa, okay, this is really cool. So we managed to get the VCs in, and that sort of started spreading the word within the tech community there. And I think we're just at the point now where a lot of U.S. press is starting to pick up on like how significant
it really is
the
a
growth
press
has been.
issue, isn't it? I mean, and Last FM had the same thing,
right?
And Spotify had the same thing. Last Minute had the same thing, and so did Skype.
Right.
So in the UK, in Europe, you may take a while to get the U.S.'s attention, and the benchmark is higher in terms of number of users and, you know, things you have to do. But if you do get it, it's going to be the same. So it's like maybe in the U.S. you'll get noticed for having a party,
right,
or raising some money. In the U.K. you have a party, you raise some money, nobody cares in the U.S.
Yeah.
But if you get 10 million users, and somebody like, you know, starts using your product that's notable, like Scoble or whoever, Ashton Kutcher, hey, now you're on the radar.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have a higher benchmark in Europe. That's basically what it is.
And you have to spend, you know, a little bit more time, I think, in making sure that you're communicating everything that you're doing to the press in the U.S. as well, because they're not randomly going to go to a tech,
they're not going to run into you at a
TechCrunch
TechCrunch party or whatever. So what about?
But I would also say just go for it. It's not that you could have like one person here. Like it's still going to have an impact.
Tell me about. I just lost my train of thought. hiring and firing and running a business in Europe. So we hear all these horror stories about, hey, listen, the people in the Netherlands and the people in Sweden and Norway, these are the happiest people on the planet.
Right.
But they take 2 years for maternity leave, men and women, and they get paid for it.
Right.
And you have to put a year of their salary in escrow. And if you want to fire them in France, if you want to fire somebody, it takes 3 months and you have to give them 17 warnings. How is it in Germany? Is Germany pro-entrepreneur, or is it pro-employee rights? Is it socialist? Is it, you know, what's it like to operate there? And what's the most frustrating thing?
Yeah.
No, I mean, there is in Europe, it's a very pro-worker
there's a stronger
and anti-entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's true. And,
it's anti-entrepreneur.
I wouldn't say it's anti-entrepreneur, but there's more considerations. They take a lot of other parts of society into consideration as well. And in many cases, you know, sometimes that can be a bit frustrating. But I feel like, you know, whatever the specific legislation is there, like what's much more important is like what's the overall like atmosphere of the city, like what's the overall culture and what's the climate like, you know, what not the weather climate but the startup climate. That's much more important. Like you will figure out the other stuff, and for us Berlin is just this like really awesome place with a lot of creative people that are really into tech, that are kind of like, you know, counterculture type people who fit startups really well. So that's much more important for us. Then, you know, it does take a little bit longer time to hire somebody in Europe than in the US. Not so much because you're cautious about, oh, it's going to be really tricky to fire this person, just that, you know, people are locked into contracts that usually have, you know, 2 or 3 months notice periods rather than 2 weeks. And with the conversation with people here, it's like, oh, okay, you know, I can make this happen in 2 weeks. And you're like, oh, wow, excellent.
So does that mean, as an entrepreneur now with multiple locations, you've got to add 10 people?
Right.
And you can put these 10 people anywhere. Does it matter which of the 3 cities you operate? You're in New York, you're in Berlin, and you're in...
San Francisco, London, and Berlin, mainly.
Okay, so you have 3 cities, 2 in Europe, 1 in the US.
Yeah.
And you got to add 10 positions. Let's just say there are 10 designers or 10... whatever, 10 cold callers on the phone, whatever, 10 support reps.
Right, yeah.
Where are you going to put your 10 support reps?
So it really, that would be in Berlin for sure.
Berlin at twice the price?
Twice the price of where?
The U.S.?
No, like Berlin is way cheaper.
Oh,
like
it is?
Engineers, like in Berlin, it's probably maybe like, you know, 30–40% of the cost of the valley. So it's like way cheaper.
What is it? 50,000 euros?
It's I don't know the exact figure,
Range,
but it's
range
like,
for somebody.
But it's way
experience.
cheaper than
40
here.
to 60 euro.
But what you can also do is like you can get people from the valley to move over to Berlin, and they will take a salary cut because the
quality of life is better.
Yeah, the quality of life.
What
there
about
is
work
way
ethic?
higher.
People in Berlin work 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week, or do they work 35 hours a week and they want to go to the park?
I would say that in Berlin, in general, it's really mixed. You have people that don't work at all, that are professional like club goers.
Really?
You have a lot of that. Yeah.
Okay. We have that in Los Angeles as well. Well, I mean, in Los Angeles, you can exist on $1,000 a month, literally. I mean, you can share a small apartment and get a Prius, and then or a Honda Fit, and you're done.
You can literally in Berlin, you can find an apartment for $150 a month, and that's all you're going to pay in rent. Like, you know, you can go up a bit as well, but it's super cheap to get by. But then I think, you know, like we obviously work quite a bit. We haven't had any problems with like work ethics at all. Like people are so like passionate about this.
Yeah.
And we really feel like, you know, it's a really
you don't. If you have a
right
great project that people are super into, you don't need to be cracking the whip and saying like, hey, you guys got to put an extra hour in to make the software work. They want the software to work because they're into the project.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why we did SoundCloud Labs, because people were spending evenings and weekends building all of this stuff.
Well, that's kind of cool. So it's like your own Google 20% project.
Yeah, just about 20% on the weekend.
It's 120%.
Yeah.
I love this guy. That's what I call it at Mahal, the 120% thing. I still believe in a hard work ethic, but I got to tell you, it's hard to have a work ethic when you got an 18-month-old child.
Right. Yeah.
I am exhausted.
I know nothing about that.
Let me tell you something. My piece of advice to entrepreneurship is a young person. I was going to say young man's game. I don't like to use gender-specific language. I'm
that's
retraining myself to not use gender-specific language. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to train people to stop using the words retard and gay to mean stupid.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like it's like everybody just uses those like every sentence, and in a business setting, people use it. I was in a meeting the other day, and somebody was just like, "Yeah, this person's retarded," and I was just like, "Wait a second.
Wait, that's not appropriate."
I just want to let you know, like, if you would say this in the room with these other 10 people who are Mahalo employees,
Yeah.
don't say that in front of a client. Just don't say a period because it makes you not look good.
Yeah.
And the reason I know this specifically about the word retarded, and I want to bring it up, is because I used to use the word a lot because I grew up in Brooklyn.
Right.
And that's all we did was call each other retards all day or tards or whatever. And then I had a friend say to me one time, this is one of my very good friends, I would say one of my 20 closest friends, said, "Can I talk to you for a second?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I am a ball-busting guy just like you. I like to joke and crack jokes. My brother's retarded. I have a secret brother who is mentally disabled. And when you use that word, it crushes me." This is somebody I've been friends with for 10 years. And he tells me in year 11 that he's got a brother who, obviously I would never have met. I mean, we see each other, once a month or whatever, but and I just said, what a jerk-off I am. I never really thought that anybody could have, and that's what you don't realize about sometimes these words. How did this come up? Where do we get this from? How do we even wind up on this tangent? Sorry. Did you say the R word?
I did not. Okay.
No, but anyway, so then somebody emailed me and said, somebody also emailed me at one point, and I may have said something. Listen, and I don't want to get into the politics of language. Like, I think comedians should be able to do whatever they want. They can make racy jokes. It's entertainment. And there's also intent, right? So if somebody uses the R word or says something is gay, and they don't have bad intent, like, I never had bad intent saying it. And, the other thing is, this guy would say the most raciest, craziest things about every other thing, but just not this one thing. And he said, "I'm a total hypocrite, I know, but I just want to let you know." I was like, okay. But there is an R-word pledge. And if you go online to the R-word, it's r-word.org. You can take the R-word pledge, and you can just like, hey, don't say the R-word because these people don't, with families, and it hurts their feelings. Anyway, I just think it's cool, like we all, having a little more empathy for each other. I'm really glad that you made the trip from Berlin. You didn't come in just for this. You had a bunch of meetings and
It was
stuff.
only for this, Jason.
No, I
I'm
know
a
you
massive
didn't.
fan, and like
You are a fan of the show.
I am a fan.
That was very
I
nice
am
of you
a
to
fan.
say. You came
Yes.
up at the Excel party,
Yeah.
and you said, "Hey, I'm a big fan of the show." And I said, "Oh, well, you're obviously a man of discerning taste." But you've been listening. Is the show popular in Germany?
I
Have you
think
met
so.
people who've listened to it?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of people at the office that check it out. And,
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's great to know.
Yeah.
We do get a lot. I mean, we had somebody call in from Saudi Arabia 2 weeks ago.
All right.
With a question. So there's obviously in the Middle East, and I said I would never go to the Middle East because I was just like, I don't want to go places where the human rights of women and other people are just so, gays, women, everybody. It just seems to be so compromised and basic human rights. But then I sort of feel like there's all these good people there
Some
too,
amazing
and there's
people.
all these people who are
Like-
fighting for good. So maybe I got to change my position on it because I just said there's no reason for me to go.
I'd say like I was in Syria before. I've traveled to a lot of different places, and that's probably, it's generalizing a bit, but people were so insanely friendly. Like I've never seen anything like it anywhere else. Like it was amazing.
I just sort of felt like going to these places was like, there's a whole list of places I could go in the world. So why would I go to places that don't even recognize basic human rights? Except for the fact, now I'm starting to change my position, which is there are good people there who listen to the show. And if they listen to the show, obviously they're good people. So maybe I should change my position on the Middle East based on this. If 20 people, I'll go to the Middle East if 25 people watch the show. If we get if we do a twist meetup and 25 people show up from, whatever, Saudi Arabia or I don't know where, United Arab Emirates?
My
or
friends from
Dubai
City Source are in Abu Dhabi today. They're there for a month.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, so if we do a 25 call-in, Tyler and I will come out maybe. Thanks a lot for coming in.
Cool.
Do
Thanks
you have
a
a
lot.
favorite episode? Do you have a favorite guest?
Let me see. There was, I like the one with Dave McClure. I think he was
He's great.
Skyping in. Yeah, he's great. Dave
I
is
got to
cool.
get Dave
Yeah.
in studio. He'd be a great guest for in the studio.
I like the color one as well with Bill.
Color one was
Yeah.
good. Wasn't he very honest and refreshing?
Yep.
Especially after all that nonsense.
Yeah.
See, you and I, we're entrepreneurs, yourself, so now Tyler too, we're all entrepreneurs. And then you see the stuff written by Mike Arrington, like riding the color guys over and over, like, oh my God, these guys are terrible. I mean, this is their life, you know?
Right.
And then he savages them so brutally, like when they're in the first 3 months of their product.
Right.
I mean, does anybody savage Mike Arrington in the first 3 months of his product? You know, it's just such a bully to bully a startup that way.
Right.
It's just so
It was
distasteful.
it was a bit rough. I think people were just so surprised when it came out, you know, with the
I know, but I mean,
delays and everything.
why can't people innovate? You know, it's just like, give them some time to innovate. You know, like, if you looked at Google Google was actually pretty good day one. But if you look at Microsoft's products, I mean, Microsoft's products were terrible day one, and they just iterated. It was like version 3 or 4 when they finally hit their stride.
Right.
And there's plenty of other, I mean, Facebook was terrible in the beginning. I mean, it was unusable, and it was just a cheesy little product. And look at it now, how robust the platform is.
Yep.
Anyway,
Give it
whatever.
some time.
I'm engaging Mike Arrington in fisticuffs now. I got him now. I finally got him to respond, so now we can get Mike and I can get the. Everybody's so uncomfortable about Mike and I fighting all the time. Mike and I don't really have that much of a problem with each other. We both think it's kind of funny. Thank you to everybody who became an executive producer, associate producer, or supporter of the show. It means a lot to us here. There's a big team of people who put this show together, and it's a heck of a lot of work. But I am so proud of the work we've done in the last month in the show. I mean, can you feel it, Tyler? It's almost like when Lon came back, we finally got the negotiation done with Lon. You know, that's going to be like a chapter in the book. But we got Lon back. Then we got Kieran and Carolyn taking over for producer Rob, and the whole ship tightened up. Then we started the producer thing, and 40 people signed up. And then we did the Bitcoin thing, and then we started doing the news roundtable, and just everything is just getting better and better and better about the show. And if we get this HD going, and I'm thinking about like doing the This Week in Social Media, I told the guys, I really want to do This Week in Social Media. If they can get 10 producers and one advertiser, like Radian 6 or one of these people, or Cloud, just put up $500 or $1,000 a week so we can pay the basic. It costs like $1,000 a show to fire this up. If we could get like just $1,000 a show going, I'll host the first 10 episodes while we find a permanent host. Sort of what I did for This Week in Venture Capital before I'm finding Mark Suster. But I feel like I got to put the whole network on my back, do the first 10 episodes of every show, and then find the expert. I think that's going to be the business model here. I'll do the first 10 episodes of This Week in Documentary, and then we'll go from there.
We'll pitch in. We'll sponsor like SoundCloud accounts for all the shows, so you can get audio versions up
You
for
are
every single one.
salivating with the possibility of working with This Weekend, aren't you? You're such a hustler. That's what I like about you.
You got to hustle.
You want to get me to get that iPhone app on my iPhone.
It's on your phone now.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I know. I got an
It's on
account.
my phone with your account.
I know, exactly. Did they put my Twitter account in there? Are you tweeting from my account?
Yeah.
You authenticated my Twitter account? I did that to Mark Suster. I came in, I was like, oh, Mark Suster's still logged in. And I put, my only regret is not investing in Jason Calacanis. Publish. He's like, my account's been hacked. All right. Enough shenanigans. Always the last 5 or 10 minutes of the show is for shenanigans. There's always going to be something at the end of the show with a little shenanigan, like off-topic discussion. We go off-topic at the end of the show. It's always nice. Tyler, thank you for your wonderful insights. I thought there was an insight coming about...
Yes.
And I was waiting for you to say, I thought you were going to say, with this, approach of going to the, the people who normally shut you down and getting them as constituents, I thought you were going to say, it's like starting a revolution with the military police.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
But this is why you do it, not me.
Right.
But you understand I'm getting closer? Like I'm 60%
Yes.
of the way there. But it is like that. Like you instead of starting with the revolutionary people in the street, you're like sort of starting the revolution with the people who would normally be stopping it.
The thing with insights is, it's like hanging from a bar for 5 minutes.
It's like hanging from a bar for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The crew's laughing out there. All right.
You know why? No, you know why?
I don't need to know why, frankly, because it makes sense.
No, because if you tell somebody, hey, you want to make some easy money?
Hang from a bar for 5 minutes.
No, yeah.
It sounds easy.
I'll bet you $1,000 you can't hang from this bar for 5 minutes. And everyone's like, oh, sure, I can. That sounds super simple.
Right, but you get 90 seconds in and your body starts shaking.
3 minutes in and you're like,
I like that.
It doesn't work that way.
It's like that. It's like that thing where you drink a gallon of milk.
Yes, the gallon of milk.
It's like the gallon of milk.
Like a gallon of
or
milk.
it's like drinking a gallon of milk and a spoonful of cinnamon. That's the other one. Stop with that. It wasn't an insight from Thomas. If you do, we have to do one, Insights from Tursic. Insights from Tursic. It'd be like a competition. We should replace the photo of you on the Sydney Bay Bridge with Tursic's. It could be a competition between you guys.
Was that the polished turd one?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Come on.
Come on now. All right. Thank you at GoToMeeting. I will see all my producers, all my lovelies on June 3rd. I'm taking a Lady Gaga approach. All my little lovely monsters. All right. June 3rd. It worked for her. Maybe I'll get a Farmville game out of it. Friday, June 3rd, 3 p.m. Hey, everybody tell Mark Pincus to do the show on Twitter. And Friday, June 3rd at 3 p.m., we're going to have a producer meeting. So if you get yourself into the producer group by the end of the month, you'll be able to come to that meeting. But you have to get it in by June 1st. And that's a lot of fun to be on that call. It's about an hour and a half. We have sushi, and it's really good fun. Thanks to Squarespace. Another great product I use every day. I mean, it's just great having sponsors. And the show's sold out. I mean, everybody wants to buy ads. I'm just saying, number one, I have a big controversy going on because Mosey was an advertiser. Oh, now Mo's going to come in here. Jason, technically, you really shouldn't talk about a sponsor that way. But Mosey was a sponsor. They gave me unlimited storage. You know Mosey, the backup? Yep. So I used this thing for 2 or 3 years. I love it. They advertise on the show for a brief period, which I appreciate. Then they take my account and they take it off of unlimited. And then they delete my stuff, and they're just like, oh, yeah, you know, you're off unlimited. It's going to. And every day I turn my computer on, and it's like Mosey hammering me. Like, I'm too busy to get my stuff off Mosey, and then I got to make a decision. It's like I had a certain contract with Mosey to be unlimited. And then Mosey broke the social contract with me. They should have taken all the people who they had unlimited with and said, okay, if we're going to lose money on them, fine. We'll grandfather those in and no more unlimited. Yeah. But and I don't agree what they did as a company. They basically were flashing every day on my thing. Oh, your Mosey account's expiring. Your Mosey account's. I was like, this is so lame. Like, okay, I'll back up with Carbonite or I'll back up with Backblaze or somebody, or I got the Drobo unit. But I won't take Mosey's money now. If Mosey, if you want to spend money with us, no. I don't recommend Mosey as a product. Period. Jason, you know, now other advertisers are going to be scared to advertise on the show that you may take your love away from them. You know, right now, Mo is like spitting out his coffee. I don't care. If your product's not good and you break the social contract with the users, that's it. You're off the show. And that's what I feel what happened with Mosey. And I loved Mosey. That was did you use Mosey ever? What do you use for your backup? Backupify. Yeah. Well, that's for your cloud to cloud. But I use it for cloud to cloud. Like but you use, you're a Dropbox.
I'm a hardcore Dropbox.
Yeah, I'm Dropbox too. I wish Dropbox, that would be the easiest commercial in the world. For the love of God, will Dropbox, can somebody talk to Drew and just drop us? Well, actually, we're sold out anyway. We don't need them. But if Dropbox, I mean, I could do that ad so easily. I'd be like, look, here's my Dropbox. Look, here are 17 angel investments. Here are 25 angel investments. Here are 4 companies I founded. Here's all my personal stuff. Here's a 50 gig or now I'm like 53 gigs because I got so many people. Here's 53 gigs worth of my stuff. Boom. I use Dropbox every day. I live in Dropbox. And Tyler, oh, you live in Dropbox. Oh, Lon, you live in Dropbox. Every guest would be like, I live in Dropbox. And Evernote's the same thing. Those are my 2 dream sponsors. Evernote, which I love that. I use Evernote.
I'm a SpringPad guy.
What is SpringPad like an Evernote?
It's like no disrespect to SpringPad. It's like SpringPad for
dummies. Evernote for dummies.
Evernote for dummies.
You were about to use the R word. You were about to use the R word, and you stopped yourself. I'm very proud of you, Tyler. Yes. You were going to call Springboard Evernote for
our people,
and you stopped yourself, and you said it's for dummies.
Yeah.
Not for people who are mentally challenged, because mentally challenged people are not.
Well, by the way, that's kind of a compliment, because it's not easy to make products for dumb people.
I'm trying to decide if that's an insight or not. It's an observation.
Yeah.
But it's an observation with insight potential.
Yeah.
I'll give you a half. Play half of it. Cut it. That's it. Good. You get a half for that. It's an inside in training. All right. The last 15 minutes of the show. What are you guys doing with the TriCast? Jesus, it's too much fun going on here. Every Friday at Mahalo, I've decided I'm letting. I love being CEO. It's like being the God King. I can make all these crazy decisions. Today I made this crazy decision. No more bagels and Danish in the office. It makes me fat. Everybody now
And
we're gonna have oatmeal every day.
Oh, wow.
I'm 10 pounds overweight. Everybody's got to have oatmeal every day. This is the crazy stuff that CEOs get to do. So I just I want whole grain oatmeal every day. I didn't. Somebody approved putting Danish out. I said specifically, don't put that stuff out. I don't want to contribute to people being fat. I want our food service to be delicious and fresh and good for people. Only oatmeal. But the other God King move I'm going to make is beer at 4 p.m. Fridays.
Nice.
I want every Friday a keg showing up at Mahalo at 4 o'clock, and I want those pint glasses frosted. That was not so good. Did you get one of those Stella?
Yep.
Oh, I don't drink beer, but every Friday I have a crisp Stellan or a
4
Rolling Rock.
At 4 o'clock already?
4 o'clock.
That's
You know what I'm
early, dude.
trying to make? Well, this is the thing.
We do it at like 7, 8,
7 or 8.
like that. Then we go out to the terrace.
I work people very hard. I work very hard, but I push people very hard. So I need to have some sort of stopgap, which is like, or else they'll quit on Friday. So most people don't know this. 5 people quit on Fridays. So if I have beer on Friday at 4, I preempt it. They'll have a beer and then they reconsider. There's that 2-hour magic window when I got to get them to the beer, and then they won't quit. See you next time on This Week in Startups.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.